The late afternoon sun hung heavy in the sky, casting long shadows across the hospital parking lot. Heat shimmered off the pavement, and the air smelled faintly of exhaust and disinfectant. Jake was just stepping out of the hospital's side entrance, unbuttoning his scrubs halfway as he juggled his phone and a lukewarm coffee. He was already late to pick up his daughter from daycare, again, then he heard it, a dull thud, like a body hitting concrete, he turned instinctively. 20 feet ahead, near the main entrance, a boy stumbled forward and collapsed onto the ground. No warning. No sound. Just a fall, sudden and jarring. Jake's coffee slipped from his hand and hit the ground, splashing across his sneakers as he bolted toward the boy. His heart pounded, not just from the run, but from instinct. Years of emergency training kicked in before his mind could catch up. The boy lay motionless, limbs sprawled unnaturally. Maybe 10 years old. Thin. Pale. His shirt was rumpled, his face flushed with heat or illness, or both. Jake dropped to his knees beside him. Hey, buddy? Can you hear me? No response. He tapped the boy's shoulder, then quickly tilted his chin and checked his airway. Breathing, shallow. Pulse, thready. Jake shouted toward the security booth. I need a gurney. Now. A nearby nurse, alerted by the commotion, came running. Someone inside the ER yelled for a crash cart. But Jake stayed locked in, focused entirely on the boy. He didn't even notice the gathering crowd behind him. His hands moved fast, steady. Checked vitals. Stabilized his neck. Whispered calm words, even if the boy couldn't hear them. The child twitched once, a slight movement of the fingers. It was enough to make Jake's chest tighten. Something about this kid, he couldn't explain it, but there was a strange familiarity. And somewhere, beneath the urgency and adrenaline, an unsettling question began to form in Jake's mind. Why does this boy seem familiar? The fluorescent lights inside the ER buzzed faintly overhead, casting everything in a pale, clinical glow. Nurses moved in practice coordination, wheeling the boy through the double doors as Jake followed close behind, his heart still hammering. They laid the child on the examination table, oxygen already being administered. Monitors beeped to life, heart rate irregular, oxygen low. A doctor barked orders. CBC, tox screen, ECG. Push fluids. Let's stabilize. Jake stood just outside the trauma bay, arms crossed tight against his chest. He wasn't officially on shift anymore, but no one asked him to leave. Maybe they saw the way he looked at the boy, like he already meant something. The nurse beside him, Clara, pulled off her gloves and glanced up. He's dehydrated, probably malnourished. Heat exhaustion, maybe something else. She shook her head, worry in her voice. No ID. No wallet. Just a crumpled bus ticket in his pocket. No one's come looking. Jake nodded slowly, staring through the glass. The boy's face was pale now, more peaceful, but there was something about him. The curve of his jaw, the shape of his mouth, it tugged at something buried deep inside Jake's memory. But it was the eyes, even closed, that haunted him. They reminded him of someone he once knew. Someone he hadn't seen in nearly a decade. He didn't say it out loud. Not yet. You okay? Clara asked. Jake startled slightly. Yeah. Just. I don't know. Something about him feels familiar. She gave him a curious look, then softened. Maybe you've seen him around. He looks like the kind of kid who's been on the streets for a while. Jake nodded absently, though he wasn't sure that was it. There was a strange tightness in his chest, like a puzzle piece was about to click into place, but not yet. Not quite. The doctor stepped back from the table. He's stable for now. We'll need to run more tests, but we got him in time. Jake exhaled, his shoulders slumping slightly in relief. He stood there for a long time, just watching the boy breathe, as if waiting for something unspoken to surface. And somewhere, in the quiet hum of machines and the muted footsteps of passing nurses, the thought returned. Why does he feel like mine? The day had faded into a hazy dusk by the time Jake finally stepped outside for air. The sky was streaked with orange and purple, the city humming around him as the heat of the day began to lift. He leaned against a rusted railing near the staff parking lot, rubbing his eyes with one hand while unlocking his phone with the other. Dozens of missed messages lit up the screen, mostly from the daycare. One from his neighbor, and a couple from a coworker asking if he was still on for the night shift next week. But Jake barely noticed. His mind was spinning, stuck on the boy in trauma too. Something about him wouldn't let go. A voice in his head kept whispering you know him, even though logic said it wasn't possible. He opened his Photos app, hoping to distract himself, maybe find a picture of Emma, his daughter, to center himself. His thumb idly scrolled through. Old albums, back through birthdays and holidays and blurry hospital selfies, asterisk then he froze, asterisk there it was. A photo he hadn't seen in years, asterisk Anna, asterisk she was smiling, reluctantly, but genuinely, sitting on a park bench. A toddler sat on her lap. All chubby cheeks and messy brown curls, clutching a toy dinosaur. Jake had taken the photo on a rare good day, back before everything fell apart. Before Anna left. Before she vanished with their son, asterisk the boy in the photo couldn't have been older than 2. But the eyes, asterisk Jake zoomed in, asterisk those same hazel eyes. Wide. Deep. A little sad, even then. The same slant of the brows, the shape of the nose, the faint cleft in the chin, asterisk his breath caught in his throat. He sat down hard on the curb, asterisk it can't be. It just can't, asterisk but the resemblance was unmistakable. His mind flipped through years of buried hope and quiet grief. The unanswered calls. The police reports. The empty silence where a child's laughter should have been, asterisk 9 years ago, Anna had packed a bag while Jake was at work and never came back. The only clue left behind was a voicemail he'd never deleted, her voice shaking as she whispered, I'm sorry, Jake. I have to go. He's better off without you. Until now, that had been the end of it, but if that boy inside, if that was Daniel, asterisk his son, asterisk Jake gripped the phone like it might disappear. A tidal wave of emotion hit him all at once, hope, disbelief, fear, something close to awe, asterisk he didn't know how or why or what had happened in the years between, asterisk but he knew, in his gut, in his bones. With the kind of certainty that couldn't be reasoned away, asterisk that boy was his, asterisk Jake sat in the hospital's administrative office, the ticking of the wall clock louder than it had any right to be. Across from him sat Dr. Perez, the attending physician on shift, her hands folded, face unreadable, asterisk he'd barely slept since that moment in the parking lot, since the picture. Since the realization. Every moment after had felt like wading through water, the world muted except for the thought pulsing in his mind, he's mine. He's mine. He's mine, asterisk but he needed proof. Hard, undeniable, scientific proof. Because the alternative, that he was wrong, that his mind was playing some cruel trick, was unbearable, asterisk Dr. Perez cleared her throat, asterisk, you're sure about this? Jake nodded, eyes red from exhaustion, if there's a chance, even a sliver. I need to know. Asterisk they agreed to perform the test discreetly. The boy, still unconscious, had already had blood drawn for toxicology. Just a small additional sample would be enough for a DNA comparison, asterisk Jake offered his own blood willingly, almost urgently. The phlebotomist hadn't even finished preparing the needle before Jake rolled up his sleeve, asterisk then came the waiting. Endless hours stretched into nearly 2 days, asterisk Jake sat by the boy's bedside, sometimes speaking softly to him, sometimes saying nothing at all. He noticed the little things, the way his fingers curled while he slept, the faint freckle just beneath his jaw, the small scar on his left hand. Jake remembered that scar. Daniel had cut his hand on a plastic toy when he was just a toddler, asterisk nurses came and went, giving him sidelong glances but not asking questions. The boy, for now, was still just John Doe. Asterisk then, finally, the call came. The lab had processed the results, asterisk Jake stood in the hallway outside the lab, heart pounding so loudly it drowned out everything else. The technician handed him the folder, no words, just a look that said this is important, asterisk Jake opened it with shaking hands, asterisk paternity index, 99.98% asterisk probability of paternity, 99.98% asterisk his knees buckled. He had to sit on the bench outside pediatrics, folder in his lap like a sacred text, asterisk it was real. The boy sleeping behind that hospital door wasn't just some stranger he'd saved, asterisk he was Daniel, asterisk his son, asterisk alive, asterisk here, asterisk tears blurred the words on the page, but Jake didn't care. He pressed the folder to his chest, then looked up at the ceiling, laughing through the lump in his throat, asterisk 9 years of silence. 9 years of wondering if Daniel was okay. If he was happy. If he even remembered him, asterisk and now he had a second chance, asterisk Jake stood, wiped his face with his sleeve, and walked back into the ward, asterisk he didn't have a plan. He didn't know where Anna had gone or what Daniel had been through. But none of that mattered now, asterisk he wasn't going to lose him again, asterisk.